Here we are live, diving in, opening up as we do with our animated diver. First time for TriStar to make it over to the Kane County Toy Show. Double bill, Kane County and Ghoulish Mortals. Oh, there he is coming to the surface now. Welcome back again with your Cherry Pepsi.
I'm sponsored by Cherry Pepsi.
Unofficially.
There. Hey, where's your packets of coffee?
They're over there.
Should I get them?
Nah, that's all right. Leave them be. All right, here, let's have you slide over a little more.
I gotta say that Kane County thing, tiring.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
That's the thing. It's a too much entertainment continues.
Oh, loaded. All right.
So we've been a bunch of times. Yeah, there's a supporting our independent coffee, Kofo Coffee.
Kofo.
Not an official sponsor, but we were just a fan of the coffee. Where am I going? What am I saying? Okay, so Kane County, we've been a bunch of times. First learned of the Kane County Toy Show through Dave Terror. Dave, let me take a minute to say the most recent blog posts coverage of Godzilla Fest are up on terrordaves.com and more to come, continuing new releases on the horizon from Dave at Terror Daves. So it was Dave who hipped us. As we can see the video in the backdrop here. So this is the fairgrounds that is normally for the county fair or whatever other exhibitions and shows they have. Just trying to show the size and the scope of the exhibition hall. Let's advance. So we also have definitely a good number of them focus on monster related stuff, but you got your GI Joes, you got your Ninja Turtles, you got your kaiju, you got your older stuff, you got your newer stuff. Any standout things that you wanted? You got your Tiara's House of Dolls and I don't even know what a Vintique is, but they got it over there at her place. Here's a little more video to go on. So while we're doing the weatherman style business, your thoughts as a first-time attender? It was tiring, you say?
It was tiring just for the fact that, one, it was hot.
It's hot.
Two, it was in different warehouses.
Yeah, man.
So you know, when you're going through all the vendors and stuff, you're at shuffle mode, which I feel like at shuffle mode is a lot tiring than regular walking speed.
Agree.
Plus, you're like looking around and, all that other stuff. So, it was interesting, to be honest with you. At first, I thought fairground, which I always think of outdoor livestock.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
As the place was designed for. When
exactly.
You were the builders of the county fairgrounds, you're not necessarily thinking of vintage toys.
Exactly. So when you invited me to the Kane County, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this stuff is outside, like they have vendors out. But he said, no, it's primarily indoor.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. But I mean, it was like 90 degrees, and it's like when you crowd a lot of people, it's almost like livestock. We're like livestock.
Yes, we were human livestock in that sense.
It does get a little muggy, and gets a little bit more hot, which there lies getting even more tired and stuff. But I mean, the actual variety of merchandise that people were selling, a wide gamut from the old tin toy, kind of like what our grandparents used to play with and buy, all the way up to the most recent merchandise and stuff like that. So it was a wide gamut of stuff, which I thought was pretty interesting.
You might have seen a Sergeant Slaughter. You might have, I was trying to be too smooth. You might have seen another Sergeant Slaughter right next to that Sergeant Slaughter, right? I don't know what Gamble's is, but that was a really cool vintage sign that they had there. And again, just packed with a lot of good stuff. I'll give you a lot like a comic convention. Now, as we're noting the weather, right? So they run the show 3 times a year, a spring, a summer, and a fall, not running the show in winter. Would have liked it if Mandarin would have showed up. Would have been cool if MIB was able to make it over. Would have been really neat if a Ted Adam Green made the long commute. However, given the heat of the day, better off that all of our allies
Yes.
might make it on a different day, not necessarily today, given.
So here's
the
my
weather.
big question to you, Mr.
Go,
C.
go.
Is that they advertise it as Chicago,
Yes.
which is far from Chicago.
Yes.
Do you think that was on purpose to draw people in, or do you feel like that's what they feel like is like? I don't know. I just don't get it because it's really far and it's not in Chicago. So
it's a good hour.
So if I saw this, say, if I lived in like Indiana or out of state, and I saw this on like an ad on Instagram or TikTok or wherever saying Chicagoland toy, blah, 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 I'd be like, oh, okay. And you drive and you're like, this is nowhere near Chicago whatsoever. Do you think that's just a way of getting people to go, or is it just one of those things where people say, oh, where is it? And if you say like St. Charles, it'll be like, where? Be like outside of Chicago. So mine just was call it Chicago. I don't know.
Right. So I think, yes, it is a way of getting people to go, but I wouldn't say in a clickbaity kind of a way, or not in a Admiral Akbar, it's a trap kind of way. You think about like, what is the most largest city? What is the biggest city that's proximal to this? Oh man, I love when the screen plays tricks. The biggest city nearby is absolutely Chicago. So then, frame of reference. Now it also bills itself as Kane County Toy Show,
right?
But it does, it does utilize two names as it should, and yeah, I think that's just the way. But when you're from the point of view of a Chicagoan or a collar suburb person, then of course you're gonna not consider Kane County even remotely close, because as I just said, this is an hour away. But if you're coming maybe from more downstate, or if you're coming from a different state or what have you, then yeah, no, this was a really cool Dracula castle. Let me just pause and note that. So again, there were 3D printer things. There were screen mirroring, and now I got nothing on the screen. What have I done? Anyway, so again, some still shots. People are walking around, having a good time at the show. Trying to capture the ceiling there again, just trying to capture the scope of it and not, highlight. Anyway, so here's some loot. Let's cover the loot that we acquired and then move on to Ghoulish Mortals, because it's always good to have a double feature. Now, already I took this guy's business card. This guy's out of Tinley Park, Sinistar, Sinstar, Sinistar. So he's doing 3D printed. He had a bunch of different Marvel and DC characters. So this was my selection back in the days when comics were 40 cents, and you could be on X-Men issue 130 way back in the late 70s, the early 80s, and they would take the artist and put the heads of the characters up in the corner box. So this was a cool tribute piece to that. So that was my one pickup. Next up, in continuing in here again, let me try to get like that MIB camera quality work. Even though we're not working off of the phone, we got some Fantastic Four entries. We got Mr. Fantastic. Look at him in there. Look at him in there trying to adjust for the glare on the box. He's got the extra arms. He's got the lab coat. And on the back, you got all the Fantastic Four and the Psycho Man and the High Evolutionary, all that good stuff. This is a Marvel Hasbro. Not directly Marvel Legends, but hey, there's a lot of good. Oh, it is Marvel Legends. Okay, good stuff. In addition to Mr. Fantastic, you got your Invisible Woman. You can see her invisible powers demonstrated. The shield. Anyway, she's got some hand variations. Look, yeah, there we go. There we go. Same back of the box we have over there again out of Marvel Legends. And, you have some good guys. You got to have a bad guy. Yeah, see, some good prices. I don't remember who exactly we picked this up from, but $5 for Psycho Man. I almost said Psycho Pirate, but that's the DC guy. So Psycho Man there. And look, there's his emotions controlling box right there. He's ready to generate fear and doubt and hate, all for $5. Look at his evil face in there. He's none of no good. Anyway, but he's a great acquisition to have. Then we're moving on to the Spider-Verse. You got your Sandman, and it takes your Steve Ditko to get your striped black and green outfit like that. Marvel Sandman, again, some good accessories in there. A little bit of sand power feature. Look, he's snarling. snarling in his face. What a grumpy guy. All right, who else do we got? Still in the spider ways. You got another classic, Craven the Hunter. Let's see. He got his little tiger face. What I mean, again with the snarl, but isn't he so full of himself to be wearing a lion's mane and to having teeth around his belt? Craven's such a goon. Let's see the back of that one. Again, you get your profile on Craven. All right, Craven's all over there. What else? Oh, you want to talk about some John Schnipp level madness? You got MODOK. Is this a flip open, or we're going to have to come back later? We will continue to be like MIB today and not unbox the stuff. But look at that MODOK. There's some good stuff on MODOK. Maybe we'll see if we get them open. Maybe we won't. All right. So, again, we stopped at Culver's. We need a little bit of refreshment between point A and point B.
And air conditioning.
And some air conditioning. Oh, look at me. I guess I got some more pictures. Again, just here's a Dracula. Again, I gave up on trying to figure out all the different lines across all the different Universal stuff because it never stops. There's so many different things. So now here we go. Ghoulish Mortals, your first time in St. Charles. Little video here showing the exterior. We've spoken of Ghoulish Mortals here before, but I do like to give people like that walk up the experience. There's a little bit of Godzilla right there. Here we go, opening the door, coming on in. Again, it's like an artist alley. You got so many different artists represented, so much cool stuff, so much cool. And again, as we've spoken of the hub of horror, right? You've got your horror comedy, you got your classic, you got your slashers, you got your 80s and 90s horror, you got your Scream and more current stuff, and your Saw and all that. Your thoughts as a first-time attender to Ghoulish Mortals? So,
when you mentioned this place, and you mentioned it lots of times prior,
because that's what I do.
That's how you roll. So I'm not really like knee deep into like the ghoulish stuff and monster stuff that you are. So I'm like, okay, this would be cool just to like experience it because we went to Horror House together and all these other places. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I knew I was in for a little bit of a doozy when I saw in the window the backs of these plastic Ultraman banks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be trouble. Trouble in the good trouble. So when you walk in, you turn the corner and there's the Godzilla pinball machine.
Which you can play for free.
Exactly. And all the kaiju stuff I'm like, okay, I'm sold. This place is pretty awesome. And so I thought it was just like this one little floor, but it goes like deep and then down. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And just the expansion of the types of merchandise. As you said, it's sort of like an artist alley thing where there's independent artists selling, their stuff. But then you also have the mass merchandise kind of stuff also in the horror and kind of realm and things like that. So I thought it was a really, really cool store, actually.
It super is. And again, the same thing, like just back in the day, you could go to your Army Navy surplus, and there's still some, but not, it's not, you could go to a record shop. You could go to, and there'd be like either the downstairs or the next room over, or the alley is the perfect example.
Yep.
Back in the day, you'd go from one section to the next, and here's every corner you turn, here's more cool stuff to see.
Yep.
So the physical plant, the layout of Ghoulish Mortals absolutely captures and continues to embrace that way of displaying all their stuff. So absolutely, for all kinds of reasons, for the content and for the layout, cool to have Ghoulish Mortals. But we did not stop there. Then we went across the street for further refreshment to Rocket Fizz. Now, Rocket Fizz, for those of us who aren't familiar, is like a candy and beverage place. Now, any Rocket Fizz is a cool Rocket Fizz, but specific to this one that is, as you say, kitty corner, diagonally across the street from Ghoulish Mortals, just the vibe. You got the hardwood floor. You got a bunch, your variety of popular candies and independent candies. You're off the beaten track. You're harder to find candies. You're more obscure drinks. So am I going? Okay, I guess that's the end of it. Anyway, in addition to that, you got your novelty, your your little container of fake rubber spiders or your all your novelty items, kind of like in the way of an Archie McPhee.
Yep.
So just a real cool vibe, a nice way to cap off the double feature or a good dessert to that main course of the meal.
Yes. Because normally Rocket Fizz is found like in a shopping mall or like a strip mall kind of thing, but this was like a standalone building, which I felt gave it more of that nostalgic candy store vibe to it, which, the selection is always nuts, but it just seems like this one was like even bigger and more expansive.
Yeah.
Just because of the size of the interior of it.
So it was coming back to your comment that you loaded at the starting time, it was a let's go kind of a day. And as we start with let's goes and as we wind up with your standard question.
I gotta present it in a way that's interesting. So, Mr. C, when is the next live stream?
The next live stream will come at a time when MODOK is not going to interfere with the next live stream. Look at it, talking about before about the Professor X chair and the blast feature from underneath it. This is so cool.
That can make a good
see,
chalice too. If
see.
you could open up his head and like drink
we
out
could
of it.
drink instead of drinking out of Geeky Tiki.
Exactly.
We can drink out of the head.
That'd be cool.
Now we got to find a 3D printer somewhere and have MODOK. Oh man.
Theoretically, you probably could
drinking
drink
the sweet tea of revenge out of the head of MODOK. That is living life in the best of ways.
True that.
Soon again, I'm going to guest and hang out over at the Graveyard Club podcast. You did note recently in the group text that they have the coolest logo over at Graveyard Club podcast.
Yeah.
So I'll be hanging out over there. I think Frankenstein is their next theme. So I'll be talking some Frankenstein business over there. We still got to come to find a time to show the Pokemon Museum video and exhibit. We got that cooking. And hey, right now, San Diego, as we sit here now, San Diego Comic-Con is winding down. So we got to find some kind of coverage of the Svengoolie parts and the non-Svengoolie parts of San Diego Comic-Con. And then right away, bam, because it's that. We start with 4th of July. Then you got 7-Eleven. Then you got all this other convention stuff. Flashback Horror Convention is on the horizon. So I got to get our coverage cooking over there. So lots of good stuff coming around soon enough. As we're hitting now about the 18-minute mark, I think we've covered all the bases that we need to cover. Any parting thoughts before we call game over?
No, I think we're good.
All right, we're good. Game over. Thanks, people. Again, if you're curious or have jokes to make, come around in the comments section. We're happy to have people enjoy our Too Much Entertainment days with us. What's that?
I already did that.
And game over, and we are out. Thanks, everybody.